Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a young man ask a question, which I will flip in right here. You guys can kind of see my face here that this isn't going to go too well. I'm a little concerned. This young man basically is saying, hey, what happens, when I just seem to keep gaining weight, and I'm getting stronger, but I'm not seeing any visible changes in the mirror. When I look at my muscles, I'm not getting bigger. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing. Do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about this. Yeah, guys, I really hate reading stuff like this when I see it. And some of the other people who commented under there, they saw the exact same thing. They know exactly what's going on. If you're one of those people, and you know that you're gaining muscle, all right? If your strength is going up and you are gaining body weight, there is no way that you're not gaining muscle mass. Absolutely impossible that you're not gaining muscle. And if you're not seeing any changes in the mirror, particularly when other people start asking you things, because that's what will also happen. When other people start saying, hey man, did you start lifting? Your shoulders are looking a little wider, your arms are looking bigger. Your chest is getting thicker. Did you start lifting, man? You're going to get that. All right, that's what's going to start happening. When you start getting that on top of it, and you still don't see any change in the mirror, that's a very, very bad sign. That's the sort of stuff that makes me be very negative towards bodybuilding itself and have sometimes a little bit critical view of this community. That is the early signs of muscle dysmorphia starting. You are starting to develop a body image disorder, muscle dysmorphia, the inability to see the actual muscle that you've gained and always seeing yourself as small no matter how big that you get. And this really isn't a laughing matter. Normally people post memes about this, them feels, man. Because, yeah, that's exactly what this is. Them feels. A lot of young men out there suffer from this. Tons of young men here who watch these videos suffer from this. It's not a good thing, and it's a bad situation. Do you know why? Because once body image disorders and muscle dysmorphia kick in, you're never going to be able to see the muscle mass. You know how an anorexic chick, you guys have all met an anorexic chick, or you see them online? I'm fat. They'll be skin and bones, so skinny that they're disgusting and you want to throw up looking at them because they've gotten so skinny and emaciated. You know what? They still see themselves as fat. They can't see the loss of body fat. When you look at guys like Rich Piana, I want you guys to understand, you take a guy like Rich Piana, uses shitloads of drugs, mind-boggling amounts of drugs, admittedly. His arms are full of collagen, synthol, he has chest implants, everything else. You can clearly see all of that. Not only lots of real muscle from tons of drugs, but he has enormous amounts of fake muscle. When Rich Piana looks in the mirror, do you guys think that he sees the enormous, ridiculous-looking arms that all of you guys see? Or do you think he sees little twigs? Because this guy has enormous amounts of fake muscle in his arms, and yet he still went and did that Bigger by the Day program, which almost killed him. He quit doing it because he realized he was going to die from it. His health started suffering from it. He was going to die had he continued it. But because he can't see his muscles, all he sees is tiny little sticks when he looks at his bloated, grossly inflated arms with all that fake gunk and shit in there, that he still sees little twigs. What you need to understand when you start seeing the signs of muscle dysmorphia, you need to be concerned. That's not a good thing because that's not something you're going to just get over. If you start seeing muscle dysmorphia, the only sane options for you are to, one, quit bodybuilding, or at least caring about your size. You're going to have to step back and say, I'm not going to train for that anymore. I'm going to train for just health because everyone should lift weights. You're either going to have to step back and just forget completely about size gains, any of that, and just focus on being healthy, or you're going to need to go get a therapist. Those are your only two safe options. Otherwise, what ends up happening, it's going to get worse. And the more you try to work on it and the harder you work, the less you're going to enjoy the results. You're not going to see your results once that starts happening, and it's very sad. And what eventually happens, you'll probably go on steroids. All right, the majority of guys with muscle dysmorphia who keep training to get bigger, they go on gear. Then they add another 2 inches to their biceps, another 4 inches to their chest, because just like an anorexic, when they look at themselves in the mirror, they know that if they just lose 10 more pounds, that their life is going to be perfect. Everything that is wrong with their life is going to be perfect. Well, someone who has muscle dysmorphia, they can't see the muscle, but they feel like when they get to that point to where they can see it, it's going to fix everything that's wrong with their life. You know, if they can just add another 2 inches to their arms that they can see, they tend to feel like, you know what, they're going to get the girl they want. They're going to get the respect from their coworkers and other men that they want. They might even get a better job. Their boss might give them a raise because the boss is going to see their improved confidence and everything else. And you know what? Once they get there, their life is going to improve so much that it's just going to be amazing, and it's going to be perfect when they get there. And so they work on that goal. But here's the thing. They don't get there. And their life isn't going to be perfect because it's a delusion. That's a fantasy that's actually important. Just like the anorexic has a delusion that if she loses 10 pounds of fat, her life is going to improve. The man with muscle dysmorphia thinks that if he can get his biceps 2 inches bigger, that his life is actually going to dramatically improve. It's a delusion. It's a fantasy. But here's the problem. It's a delusion not based on reality and the way it works. Because their life doesn't seem to be getting better and the stuff isn't getting perfect, that same delusion still says that it's because their arms aren't big enough. They haven't gained enough muscle to gain that respect and to gain that confidence and to get the things that they know they really want out of life. And when they get there, it's going to happen. And then what happens, instead of gaining 2 inches of muscle, they gain 4 inches of muscle. But they don't see it in the mirror. They still see little stick arms, little 10-inch pipe cleaners. That's what they see. So then they use more drugs. They gain another 2 inches on their arms. And so that original 2 inches they thought they were going to get goes up to 6 inches of muscle gain. Their chest is up 10 inches. But their life still isn't perfect. The things aren't right in their life. And they still don't see the muscle gains. Where were the gains? I mean, they're like, I've gained, on the scale, I'm up 45 pounds and I'm leaner. Why don't I look bigger? When they've actually gained more muscle than any human being could ever gain from lifting weights. They are now steroid big. But their life's not perfect. And they still don't see the massive arms. They still see a little tiny, weak, frail body in the mirror. Because it's a delusion. It's a body image disorder. They can't see it. And that's the saddest part about people with muscle dysmorphia. And it really is, guys. It's fucking sad. It's really sad, and I don't mean sad of, oh, you're a sad, sick fuck. It's sad as in you have people who sacrifice enormously to get there. All right, they train day in, day out, bust their ass in the gym, consume all this food, spend all this money on supplements, then they spend all this money on drugs, risk their health with the drugs. They make these sacrifices, and they put in this hard work and get nothing in return. Because what ends up happening, eventually they get so big that other people think they're freakish. Then the girl doesn't want them. All right, they're getting too big. Less women get interested. Their coworkers, man, they might be a little afraid of them. They're not respecting them. They start to go, man, this guy's obsessed and he's a freak. They don't get the respect they want. Because the actual goal that they've set isn't realistic for those things. This delusion in their head that it's going to make their life better is actually not true. It's a delusion. So what ends up happening, they don't get to enjoy any of the fruits of their labor because not only do they not get any of the things they wanted, they thought they would obtain, they don't even see the muscle in the mirror. And if they don't see the muscle in the mirror, their work and their sacrifices and the things that they've given up and risked have paid nothing because they don't even see it in the mirror. And that's sad. It really is sad. And so what I would tell this young man who's seeing that already, if you're not seeing any gains in the mirror, when you know the scale's going up, you know the weights are getting heavier and heavier, you gain significant amounts of strength, you know you've gained muscle. It's impossible for you not to have. So there is something in your brain blocking you from seeing it. You are on your way to developing muscle dysmorphia. And the thing I just described, that scenario, that is your potential path. I would ask you to step back and assess for a minute, why is it that you really want to gain muscle? Because when you have a delusion like that, there's something going on there. There's a reason you're wanting to gain muscle that might not be a valid reason, a good reason. Step back and assess that. Is it because you really and truly think that your life is going to be a lot better if you gain a bunch of muscle, that people are going to respect you more, that girls are going to want you, all of that stuff? If that's really what you're thinking, and then you're not seeing the muscle at all, and you're thinking that your life is somehow going to be a lot better, maybe even perfect, if you just gain that 20 pounds of muscle, that 2 inches on your arms, you are in the mindset already that will lead to that muscle dysmorphia. So you need to step back and ask yourself what you're doing. And you need to ask yourself, do I need to keep lifting? What's my healthy approach to lifting? Because it really shouldn't be because I want to get a lot bigger now, because that's clearly not going to work for you because you can't see it. So you need to step back and say, what's the real reason I want to keep lifting? And do I need to talk to maybe a counselor about this? Because once you go down that path, it's a hard path to get off of. And you'll end up giving up a lot, sacrificing a lot for no rewards. So it's just something to be aware of. I mean, muscle dysmorphia and body image disorders are enormous in this community. Tons and tons of people have them. And it's not a good thing. You know, and it's sad because lifting weights is one of the most positive, healthy things you can possibly do for yourself. And when it contributes to a mental disorder, I think that's a very sad thing. When something very positive gets thrown in the direction of negativity, I think that's a bad thing, always. So it's just something that you need to be aware of if you're one of these people seeing this. You need to catch this stuff early on and maybe get some help for it, or try to change your mindset early on. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.